Welcome to Waking Up America, the Not Morning Show. Today's news: Republicans in Congress draft a bill to repeal the NFA. Let's talk about this while we still can. If you guys enjoyed this content, please follow us on Twitter at AmericaWakeUp. My name is Alexander Graves. I am the constitutional conservative. Let's go ahead and get into the news here. First story of the day: Representative Eric Burleson, House Republican, introduced legislation to repeal the National Firearms Act. But before we get into that, if you guys would enjoy supporting this content and you enjoyed this content, please consider donating at buymeacoffee.com/wakeup. It's not actual cups of coffee, it's donations. You can subscribe or donate however or as little as you'd like. All right, let's get back into it here. So, Republican Missouri Rep. Eric Burleson and a group of House Republicans introduced legislation Wednesday to repeal the National Firearms Act of 1934. There have been some movement on this proposed in the past, but not with the teeth that this one specifically has. This is a great bill. If you're not aware of what the National Firearms Act is, it establishes a tax on people for SBRs, suppressors, several other firearm-related items. It is blatantly unconstitutional. There's no reason that it should have stood as long as it has. So I am hopeful that we will get this repealed here in the near future, probably next 2 years if we get the Senate and the presidency. But let's push into a little bit more here. So the bill focuses on repealing the NFA, which was the first federal law to impose limitations on gun ownership. The NFA requires Americans to pay a $200 tax, register their firearms, and undergo an application process in order to purchase certain firearms and accessories. Now, here's where this is important and kind of where they screwed up. Okay, so this was 1934. $200 was a hell of a lot more. I think with inflation, that would be somewhere upwards of between $2,000 to $10,000. So imagine having to pay that price versus the $200 tax. This was specifically to bar United States citizens from the Second Amendment on most of these items. It was specifically designed for the ultra rich. There's no way that this would have been found constitutional. It's just never really been challenged by the court in recent years because they've been afraid to do it. But we have a conservative court now, so we'll see what happens here. Hopefully they can just strike it down. But let's continue. Also, the NFA, just like most gun control acts, have led to thousands and thousands of people dying every year. The National Gun Control Act under Bill Clinton, they saw crime rise exponentially under that to the point they had to repeal it after they banned, I believe it was in DC v. Heller, they banned the pistols. And they saw crime just increase because you know what? Pistols are great for self-defense and defending your home. So we need to abolish the NFA. Let's get back into it. The federal government has used the National Firearms Act for almost a century to violate law-abiding citizens' Second Amendment rights. The recent ATF Bureau, you know what ATF is: alcohol, tobacco, firearms, legal, explosives should be. Pistol brace rule is just another example of these blatant attacks on the Constitution right of Americans. The ATF NFA sham needs to end, says Burleson. If you're not aware of the brace rule, many millions of Americans have bought these braces. They are essentially what is it's not a stock. It's a brace designed to shoot one-handed. It was invented by a veteran who lost his arm in the war, and it allowed them to shoot. It makes it a lot easier for women to shoot these rifles as well. So they have arbitrarily used their rulemaking authority, which is completely unconstitutional, to designate this as an illegal item. And you have probably about, I don't know, I think it's like 110 days, 100 days or something to register these devices, pay the $200 tax stamp to the ATF, make them buttloads of money. This is why they want to do this. And it turns all of these citizens who are not paying attention to the news into criminals. It turns them into felons. So this is a completely unconstitutional gun grab attempt, and we need to fight it. Let's get back into it. Representative Andy Biggs, Matt Gaetz, Paul Gosar, Mary Miller, Andy Ogles all co-sponsored this bill. Please give them your support if you haven't already. Give them a call. Call your senators. Call your congressmen. Have them support this bill. We need to get this pushed through. This would be an amazing thing for the Second Amendment community. Quote, "For too long, anti-gun zealots have enacted policies that infringe on American Second Amendment rights. The NFA has only led to increased government bureaucracy and has done nothing to reduce gun violence." That is statistically provable. Gates also introduced legislation earlier in January to abolish the ATF after it enacted a rulemaking pistol stabilization braces illegal for anyone without a certain license, as I just covered. That is another bill that needs support from Matt Gaetz. That is huge. I mean, repealing the NFA means that the ATF basically has no job, but going directly after the ATF, abolishing them, defunding them, or going after the bureaucrats in charge of the ATF is a huge step in that direction too, to restore the freedoms of the American people and the Second Amendment. Okay, so in pure irony, we have another story here, and it's just so funny. The left is so ignorant. The ever woke, tolerant left doesn't understand their own hypocrisy here. So a Democrat introduced a bill to mandate armed security in every gas station, bank, grocery store, and pawn shop in Chicago. Yeah. An Illinois Democrat has introduced a new law that would mandate armed security in various businesses that are susceptible to armed robbery. Really? So you're saying guns stop crime? Am I getting that right? Okay. All right. We'll let that sit in for the Democrats watching. I'm sure you guys are putting angry comments down below. I get those all the time. Super fun. Keep them up. I love reading them. Back to it. Illinois State Rep Thaddeus Jones introduced, that's actually kind of a cool name, the Armed Security Protection Act last week. If passed, the bill requires banks, gas stations, grocery stores, and pawn shops in Chicago to have armed security or armed employees. Now, here's a thought. How about you just pass constitutional carry and the citizens will defend themselves? Because this, as much as I'm all for more guns everywhere, this is putting arbitrary requirements on small businesses. Armed security is not cheap. I mean, we're talking $20 an hour minimum, where at these gas stations where they're probably paying these people minimum wage, $7.50. So you're now paying for 2 employees specifically because they're legislating that you must have an armed guard to stay in business. That's Democrat policy there for you. It's both attacking the Second Amendment and attacking small business. We'll see how this plays out. Back to it. So Jones, again, here's the hypocrisy. Jones, this guy who proposed this idea, also voted for the assault weapons ban that Illinois Governor Pritzker, I like to call him Pricker, signed into law earlier this month. And Chicago Mayor Lori Lightfoot, who, yeah, we're not even getting into that one, blames guns for Chicago's crime problems. She claims that guns from other municipalities brought into the city are used by the criminals. So, yeah, that's your daily hypocrisy for the day. It just speaks for itself. I don't even need to expand upon it, honestly. All right, we do have something else here. People think that the registration, gun registration, and gun control, can never come here. It most certainly can, and the argument to that as well is you look at these countries over in the UK and China, it's like, well, people go on stabbing sprees, whatever. People will murder. People will find a way to murder. But China has taken another step in the control of their citizens. With technology going the way it is, you can control your citizens with no matter what you want. This is a crazy video. This is knife registration in China. Let's go and watch it.
Goods that are deemed dangerous are tightly controlled. If you want to buy a knife in this cutlery shop, for example, the purchase is tied to your ID, as this salesman demonstrates. 这个就二维码，这个就二维码编号，然后直接雕刻能激光刻上就可以了。就是一个身份证放在上面，然后一读卡，这个身份证照片。So the QR code that they're laser etching into these knives gives them their ID, their picture, their card number, their ethnicity, their address. 号码，然后民族、家庭住址都有了，然后生成一个二维码。Yeah, we live in a state of control. This is the age of technology. It is both a double-edged sword. It is very well and easily possible for this to come here. If they find out, if the left ever finds out about this, they'll insist on passing some QR code law on your guns to get them registered, which is the same as a registration. But totalitarian control is easily possible through this control. And frankly, we do live under a totalitarian regime right now. As China increases its authoritarian control on its citizens, we have billionaires like Bill Gates coming out in favor of gun control in support of China. I mean, this is coming from top down. These people do not want you to have your Second Amendment right. They do not want you to be able to protect your family. we have one more story here. Bill Gates, and let there be no mistake where Bill Gates stands on this, and he does not stand with the US. Bill Gates says that China rise is a huge win for the world. Microsoft founder and billionaire philanthropist Bill Gates said China's rise has been a huge win for the world. Quote, "It is sad that we're devolving into a world where the willingness, certainly of the US, to be dependent on things from China, at least for a decade here, will be low, and it'll create significant inefficiencies." Let there be no mistake. These billionaires like Bill Gates, they do want gun control here. This is why they love China, because it has these totalitarian controls that they can put on every single citizen. And they use these technological advances to go after their citizens. This is what they want to bring here. We need to fight it every day and pay attention, stay in the fight. They will be pumping billions of dollars into these Democrats who want to support these anti-gun, gun control measures. So we need to act. We need to get behind our congressmen. We need to let them know that we want the NFA repealed. We want the ATF abolished. This is the only way forwards for the Second Amendment to continue without being infringed upon. Otherwise, they will come for your guns. They are coming for your ammo. We have seen this. They continue to draft these bills to come after it. Thankfully, they've been struck down so far, but we're really only one generation away from this being taken away if we're not careful. So we need to also instill this in our children, instill liberty, and stay in the fight. If you guys enjoy this content, please consider heading on over to Twitter at AmericaWakeUp. And if you guys want to support our content, head on over to buymeacoffee.com/wakeup. I greatly appreciate you guys watching. Please feel free to like, subscribe, comment down below, mean or nice comments, all welcome. I love the debate. It's super fun. Again, thank you guys so much for watching. Stay safe, stay ready, and keep it around in the chamber.